thank you so much for joining us for the next in the Aging Strong series. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter for today. We are very happy to be joined again by Debbie Lynn Toomey, Injury Prevention Coordinator at Tufts Medical Center. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello and good morning. Thank you so much, Carrie. I am Tufts Medical Center's Injury Prevention Coordinator, and I do a lot of my work on outreach, and I focus a lot of my attention on falls prevention and violence prevention. And the Aging Strong program, stress management for the aging population, is a program that started back during COVID, the beginning of COVID, September 2020. And it was a way for me to continue the outreach work in person, remotely. So that way, people who are social distancing can still be able to learn different ways to age strongly. So today I have a special guest. She was here with me actually 2 months ago. She talked about prediabetes. Her name is Sherry Keating. She is the owner of Diabetes Care Consulting. And not only is she an expert on the topic of diabetes, she's also a lifestyle coach.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for having me again. It's an honor to be here. I'm happy to be here today to talk about mindset reset as you age strong. So, Debbie, as you and I have talked in the past, we're actually good friends and we talk frequently. And as we were talking about mindset reset, we were talking about New Year's and people and their resolutions. And what a great time of the year to start thinking about how you can think differently to act differently. And it all starts here. And so it doesn't matter what age you are. We all make resolutions. And if you want to age stronger and live longer, and who doesn't want to do that, we start with mindset. So I wanted to throw out there, since we do have some people live with us today, has anyone made any resolutions for this year so far? And if you want to share any of those with us. So is there anyone who would like to do that?
Not a real resolution, a goal to read more. Like I read last year and I think I read 14 books. And my goal, we'll see if I get there, 22 for 2022.
Good for you, Grace. I love that. How about that? Congratulations. I'm starting. That is a goal for me actually too, to become a reader this year. So not 22 books though, but I'll start with one and see how it goes, but good for you. How about you? Anyone else want to share their resolution for this year?
I just want to say, this is Mary Ann Blatzos. I just want to say, Grace, that is that's a great goal. I have been an avid reader since I was a child. And one of the things that I wish I did is I wish I made a list of every book that I've ever read, because I would like to go back to, in my 20s and my 30s, so many books that I read. So I think it's a great goal. My goal this year is it's going to be a year-long goal, is to start getting rid of junk. I have a lot of stuff in my life, and whether it's clothing or dishes or, I don't know, dish towels or cleaning products, I have a lot of stuff in my life. So I am not shopping, I am giving away. That's my goal for 2022.
I love that too. I'm actually friends with Mary Ann, and I know she's the one who's motivating me to be a reader. So we're actually doing our own little book club this year. And so, of course, I picked a book that's like 900 pages. What was I thinking? So, but yeah, so we're starting small, but I love those goals. So can I pick on you two throughout the presentation and use your goals as an example to, talk about the topic? So when we talk about making goals and New Year's resolutions and health goals, there's some things we need to think about. We need to think about SMART goals. So making a goal is great, but we want to turn it into a SMART goal. And we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about shifting your mindset. We're going to talk about your attitude, and we're going to talk about the power of your why, because all of those things are going to help you achieve those goals that you guys have made for this year. Debbie, did you have a goal that you wanted to share with us too?
I do. Actually, it's similar to Mary Ann's. I want to start simplifying. I want to declutter. I want to be more organized, because I find that sometimes when I get to this mode that, I'm going to be organized, I have that honeymoon period and then life happens. And then, things starts getting, lost in the shuffle. And then I forget that I already had it, and then I would buy it. And it's just a little bit frustrating sometimes to see something that you were looking for a few weeks later and to know that, oh my gosh, I already had it. So,
you know what? Those are all great goals. And I think a lot of us share those same goals. So let's dig in a little bit deeper and let's talk about behavior change, because you know what? It doesn't matter what age we're at. We always, when someone says, oh, you should change your behavior, or you should, change the way you're doing something, we always say, oh, that's impossible. I've been doing it this way for years and years and years. But guess what, guys? It is possible. Any age we can change. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes commitment. Yes, it takes work. Yes, it takes intention. Yes, we may have life happen and we may end up down a different road. So our plan may change. So there's a lot of variables that come into play. But I'm here to tell you that if you really want to do it, you really can do it no matter what age you are and no matter what your goal is. So that's the first thing. You can totally change. So keep that in mind. So the second thing is we have to talk about when you make a goal, you have to think about it in terms of a SMART goal. SMART is an acronym. And what it means is your goal has to be specific. Your goal has to be measurable. It has to be attainable. It has to be realistic for you and your life, and it has to have a time limit. So let's take those goals that you guys have talked about. So Debbie wants to simplify, and Grace wants to read 22 books. So that's specific. Grace definitely has the specific part. She wants to read 22 books. That's very specific. Marianne wants to declutter and purge and give away things. So let's take those and make them into SMART goals so that it will increase your success of achieving them. So who wants me to pick on their goal and use it as an example? Anyone? Debbie, Marianne, Grace, can we use one of your goals? Who wants to make it into a SMART goal with me? Marianne wants to. Okay. So Marianne, your big goal is to get rid of things and purge. So let's make that into a SMART goal. So remember, it has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable, realistic or relevant, and it has to have a time limit. So let's take your goal and make it into that. So let's talk about specific. How are you going to make your goal of purging into more of a specific goal? Can you think of one thing that you want to purge or one room that you want to purge to make it more specific?
Yeah, my closet.
Okay, so we've got a closet. Awesome. So that's the specific thing. Now we have to make it measurable. How are you going to measure success?
So what I've thought about with my closet is do it by clothing group. For instance, doing all of my sweaters. Then doing
I'm going to write this down.
Yeah. Doing all of my sweaters. Just doing that's all. I know Marie Kondo says to throw everything in a big pile. That's too overwhelming for me. So I'm just going to do my sweaters and go through all of my sweaters. And then I'm going to do my pants. And then I'm going to do blouses. I'm going to do it that way. And then other things in my closet, I also have sheets and towels because it's a big closet, so I store it. So go by category, clothing item category.
All right, so you're going to start with sweaters. How long are you going to take to get rid of and go through your sweaters? So you need a time frame, because when you're setting a goal, you need a time frame to be successful. It can't have a never ending, like it can't go on forever. If you're going to get it achieved and accomplished, you got to have a time frame. So what's going to be your time frame?
Well, I don't know how long it's going to take me. So what I was thinking of doing is on a Saturday morning, just start by piling all the sweaters. And then, and then looking at what fits, what doesn't fit, what colors I like, what colors I no longer like, what I haven't worn for a long time, that kind of thing. I don't know how long it's going to take. I honestly don't. Will it take 4 hours or 6 hours? I don't know. 8 hours. I don't know.
So give yourself, so why don't you be generous and say, I'm going to take Saturday, January, whatever a Saturday is in January, look at your calendar and say, I'm going to take this Saturday, I'm going to give myself 8 hours and I'm going to go through all my sweaters, and I'm going to put the pile of the ones I'm going to keep away. And then these are the piles. I'm going to put them in a bag, and I'm going to bring them somewhere. So that is better. You know, that is how you want to look at your goals. You want to look at them very specific, give yourself a time frame, and that way you can be more successful. Does that make sense, Marianne?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And Grace, you're going to do 22 books. What is your SMART goal in achieving that goal?
I've given myself the first 2 weeks in January off. I'm hoping that I can maybe I'm going to look at the books that I have now. And I do have a few that I've been holding on to read. It looks like I probably have to read 2 a month. Good Lord. But if they're interesting and they grab me, that's not going to be a challenge. If they're not, I'm going to have to put them aside for another time and find another one. And the other thing is the fact that I'm talking about it with people, I know they're going to ask me about it. So, I don't want to fail in that sense. So I think 2 a month.
Okay.
And if I don't do 2, depending on the size, maybe it's 3 one month and 1 another month.
All right. That's great. So I'm glad that you brought up the whole thing about failing. I really hate that word because it's really not a positive word. And when you're talking about behavior change and mindset, you want to think of positive words and affirmations and motivational statements. So instead of failing, it's a relapse. And, relapses happen. Life. Oh my gosh, especially have we not learned from anything else these last 2 years that everything changes from minute to minute. And so things can happen and you can have this awesome plan and this awesome goal, but you know what? Life happens and then we have to be able to pivot. So if that happens, it's okay. Sometimes the plan that we formulate at the beginning needs to be changed. So it's called a relapse. It's one of the stages of change that we're going to talk about in a minute. And so it happens. We're all imperfect beings, right? And we all have challenges in our lives and things change and it's not always on our schedule and our time. So you know what? We just revise the plan and we move forward. The key is to keep moving forward and to keep telling yourself that, yes, this is my goal, but maybe we have to do it a little bit differently and it's okay. So so it's not.
I like the word relapse. I like that.
Okay, good.
I'm going to use that.
There you go. So relapse. So let's talk about the stages of change because we have to be ready to make a change. We can talk about it and we can, have this great thing on paper. I remember when I was working with patients in cardiac rehab, they used to come in, we do like an hour interview and we write down all these goals and it looks so good on paper. And sometimes I felt like I wanted it more than they wanted it because I was more in the stage of readiness than they were. So if you're going to make a lifestyle change or you're going to change a habit, first of all, it takes 21 days to get into the routine of establishing a new habit. The second thing is your mind has to be ready for the change. So there's 5 stages of change. And they came up with these stages when they were working with people who were smoking. And so what they found was that these 5 stages, these stages of change can fit into all changes that we want to make, not just for people that are trying to quit smoking. So the first stage is called pre-contemplation. What that means is that someone has told them maybe you need to change. So say they go to the doctor and they have elevated cholesterol or blood pressure, or, they go to their house and they look every day and they say, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. But they're writing a list of pros and cons and they really aren't convinced that the pros outweigh the cons. They're really not in the mindset of saying, I really need to make a change. Yes, the doctor's saying my health is suffering, but I don't really see if I make a change, it's going to make a difference and it's worth all the work that it's going to take. So I'm not really there emotionally and my thinking isn't there. So I'm really not intending and doing anything for 6 months. It just doesn't seem like my behavior or my house or, anything is a problem to me. It may be a problem to others, but it's not a problem to me. So I'm not ready to do anything. That's contemplation. That's pre-contemplation. The next stage of change is called contemplation. Now you're actually starting to relook at that pro and con list and say, yeah, the doctor is right. I really do think that if I do make a few small changes that I can improve my health and age stronger and live longer. Or yeah, you know what? I do come home every day and I'm overwhelmed by looking at all of this stuff that I have. So, and maybe I do want to be more worldly and I want to read more and learn more. So maybe I think I will. Maybe it is going to be beneficial to me to think about starting to make a change within the next 6 months. So do you see how I move from denial and no, it's not going to benefit me and I'm not going to do it, to maybe I am going to start to do it because maybe it is going to be the right thing for me to do. So now I'm really starting to think about that. And so now I'm starting to relook at my plan and say, yeah, I think I'm starting to get ready emotionally. And then, so I might do something. Some people get stuck here. They never move from this stage, and other people go to the next level, and that's preparation. Now they're saying, I'm going to do something within the next month, and I'm going to come up with a plan. We have to come up with a plan, and we have to use our SMART goals to come up with a realistic plan that works for our lives. If you make a plan that looks good on paper, but you can't put it into action because it doesn't work for you, it's useless, right? So now we're really thinking about it. We got our plan. We've wrapped our support systems around us. We've told other people, like Grace said, because now we're held accountable, right? And it's always good to be held accountable and have like an accountability partner. And so now we're actually going to do this within the next month. And so we've got this great plan and we're starting to feel motivated and we're starting to say, I will, I can, instead of, yeah, maybe. We're changing that to, I can do this. It's going to be awesome. And so we're starting to do those positive affirmational statements. The next thing that we're going to do is now we're doing action. We're actually taking it to the next level and we're doing it. We're feeling good about it. We've put it into action. We're doing all of those behaviors and we're feeling good. We're seeing the positive effects. And you know what, at this stage, you have to reward yourself because you're doing it. So, think about something that's going to make you happy that you can reward yourself by, and start to give yourself a reward when you start to see progress in it, that you're actually doing it. And then the last one is maintaining it. You've been doing this now for 6 months and you're going to continue to move forward. There's another stage of those relapse stages that we talked about. And those relapse stages will happen. We're all, like I said, imperfect beings, and life happens and changes on a dime. So go back, relook at the plan, and revise like we talked about. So those are kind of the stages of change that we need to think about when we're making goals and resolutions to be successful. So now we have to talk about mindset.
So I just want to reiterate the 5 stages of change. I have pre-contemplation.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically somebody telling you you need to X, Y, and Z. And for you, the listeners, maybe you might be in denial. Maybe you don't think it's about you. Maybe, so you're just in denial. So then stage 2 is contemplation. So basically you're going from pre-contemplation, where somebody kind of planted the seed. Yeah. And now you're considering, okay, maybe I could do it. You start considering. And then number 3 is preparation. So now you've gone from contemplating to maybe starting to create a plan.
Yes.
And what you're saying is the plan needs to be, I guess this is where the SMART goal would kind of intervene, right?
Yes.
So you start preparing, and in this preparation, you start building your allies, right?
Yes.
Your accountability buddies, and, creating this wonderful plan that's going to be doable. And then you take action. That's number 4.
Yes.
And with the action, you give yourself rewards. So you you celebrate your mini wins, right?
Yes,
that's what I like
absolutely.
To call it. Yep. And then number 5 is you maintain it.
Yes. For the long haul. Because really this is all about, right? Is maintaining. It's not a quick fix. Everybody wants a quick fix. But when we're talking about goals, whether it's health goals, personal goals, finance goals, professional goals, we want it for the long term, right? So we don't want a quick fix. And so we want to maintain this so that we can live longer, healthier, and happier lives. So that's the goal, is to get to this stage. But during this whole process, or is when a relapse can occur during any of these stages. So we just have to prepare, identify what are our barriers, what are our challenges, and then how can we prevent a relapse in the future by looking at what tripped us up this time. So, if we start looking at the reason why we ended up having this relapse, we can learn from that And they're all learnable moments and teachable moments, right? They're not failures. It's a learning moment, I like to call them. And so we learn from what happened and we move forward. And that's really the important thing, is that we just keep moving forward, right? So yeah, so good job, Debbie, note taking. And as you can hear, this is live and my dogs are fighting, and I apologize for that.
Your dogs are getting excited. They're
so
excited about the topic.
Absolutely. So, when we're doing this awesome planning and everything, it's really, if we think differently, we act differently. So it all has to come from here first. I think you have to change your mindset to change your behavior. I think that's really important. And I learned that the hard way when I ended up having cancer. And my doctor said something to me that was life-changing. He said, your attitude will kill you before your cancer does. And for me, that was such a valuable lesson, because I really believe attitude is really powerful. And so when we're talking about mindset, the difference between mindset and attitude is that mindset is more a way of thinking. So it's your thought process, and attitude is more the emotion and the feeling that comes behind the thinking and your thoughts. They're both can be from learned behavior, from society. They can be from past experiences, from trauma. And so you have to kind of look at where you are in your mindset. Not only are you ready to change and ready to take action and put your SMART goals and your plan into place, but where is your mindset when you're doing this? Because if you're not in the right mindset, you can have the best plan, but it's not going to be able to be achieved. So mindset is the way you are thinking. And yes, you can change your mindset. And we're going to talk about how you can do that. I'm going to give you some mindset shifting tools. And then your attitude. We have to have a positive attitude, right? Because we don't want that little negative person in the back. Who doesn't have like a little person in the back of their mind telling us that you've tried this before and you didn't succeed? So what makes you think you're going to succeed now? We need to get rid of that person. And we also need to get rid of people in our lives that are like telling us we can't do it. We want to surround ourselves with positive, supportive people. So, Marianne, as you're purging your house, it's always good to purge your friends too. The beginning of the year is a good time to purge your friends, because don't we want to live a happy life? And haven't we seen so much tragedy in the last 2 years that every moment we want to find the happiness? And we don't want to be surrounded by people that are just like, oh my God, this is so awful and blah, 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 blah. It really takes a toll on us. And we're not going to achieve our goals if we're in that mindset. And it's so easy to take on other people's mindset, right? So when I actually did this when I had cancer, I purged my friends. I know that sounds terrible, but I tell you, I'm a much happier person. And I surround myself with like-minded people that are happy, that are supportive. No, we're not happy all the time. But for the majority of it, we look at life with the cup half full versus the cup half empty. And I think that's important when we're talking about achieving goals. So I don't want you to think that, I just went and got rid of all my friends, but it's just important that we surround ourselves with people that are happy, that are positive, that we can feed off of that, because we will feed off the negative as well as the positive. So why not feed off the positive, right? Because life is so short. So mindset. Let's talk about some tips that we can do. First of all, we have to envision what we want our lives to be like, right? Do we want to live in this bubble of unhappiness and not achieve the goals that we want for our life? Or do we want to live in a bubble of happiness and we want to enjoy every moment, right? And so we have to envision what we want our life to be like, and having that goal. And when we achieve that goal, what it's going to do to change our lives in a good way, right? So we can age stronger and live longer. We want to believe in ourselves, right? We don't want that person telling us in the back of our head we can't do something, because we can do whatever we want, right? Believe we're in control. We are in control. We have control over our thoughts. We have control over our behavior. No, we can't change other people. And trust me, I've been in 3 marriages and I failed to because I thought I was going to change that person. Guess what, guys? You can't change anybody else. Okay, I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. But what you can do is you can change your response, right? And the way you think about it, right? So that's what you want to concentrate on, is change your response and the way you think about it. And believe in yourself, right? Surround yourself by all those happy people and those supportive people that believe in you, that you can achieve this. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. We are all imperfect beings, right? We're all. So don't, I was raised in a family that we had to be perfectionists. I'm going to tell you, it's overrated and it's too hard, right? We're all imperfect. So just, give yourself that and say, okay, I'm imperfect. Maybe I wanted to eat better at breakfast. I didn't do so well, but guess what? Lunch is a new opportunity. Every time I eat is a new opportunity. Every time I walk in my closet and I see 20 sweaters, I have a new opportunity to kind of purge and get rid of that sweater. So you always have that opportunity. So look at challenges and barriers as opportunities. That's looking at the cup half full versus the cup half empty, right? Learn from what your relapses. Why did you relapse? And how can you prevent it from happening again? Don't dwell on them. Well, I love this saying. I don't know about you guys, but you can't change the past. You can't predict the future. All you have is the present. And that's why today is such a gift. We always have a new opportunity. Every time we wake up, we have a new opportunity to make a different choice. Every time we eat another meal, if we're working on weight loss, we have a new opportunity to make a better choice. It's small steps that equal significant rewards. And I'm all about taking small steps. You didn't get where you are overnight. You're not going to change it, right? So you have a whole lifetime to work on this. So, and then keep your why in focus. So I really think that we need to get, our minds in the right mindset. We need to be in the right stage of change. We need to be ready. And then we need to have a realistic plan and a SMART goal. And then we can achieve our any goal in whatever area of our lives, in whatever time of our lives that we're in. There's a quote by Dr. Martha Claire Morris, who wrote the book, The Mind Diet. And she wrote, "A healthy mind is a happy mind." I love that. I don't know about you, but I just kind of my new inspirational quote, right? So any questions on that? Because I'm going to move on to attitude.
I do want to, I love the small actions. It reminds me of the Japanese term kaizen, which is taking small actions towards the desired goals. And I'm not sure if you've read The Atomic Habit by James Clear. He believes in 1%, being 1% better every day. And basically every action that you do towards your habit is a vote to the kind of person you want to be. We have these lofty goals, reading 22 books, decluttering. I mean, I could relate to both of you guys. And last year I wanted to read extra books. So I don't know, Grace, if this would help you, what I would do, because I love to walk, I love to listen to audiobooks. So that I count that as reading. So I read more books than I thought I could because I did a lot of walking and felt like I was getting so much benefit from that. And as far as decluttering, I would just bring up 2 trash bags. That was my win. If I could fill that 2 trash bags with clothes, whoop, that to me was a very smart goal.
I love that, Debbie. And the other thing is too, is that I used to do a lot of traveling. So doing books on tape and putting it in your car. And when you're traveling, that's another way to get your reading in for the day too. So that really worked well for me when I was on the road a lot before COVID. So that's another good idea as well. So it's the words that you say actually become your actions, right? So you speak, in church, we talk about speak as if things are already being done in our lives, as if God's already moving in our lives. And so saying that those words and speaking them out loud are really helping us to make that happen. So I love that you said that. So attitude, remember, mindset is more of the way of thinking and the thoughts. And then attitude is more of the emotion, right? Attitude can really make us, attitude can bring us to a positive place or to a negative place. And it has a huge impact on our behavior, as I learned when I was laying in bed and the doctor said, you have 6 months to live. And I was laying in bed. I had already given up life. I was laying in bed, literally waiting to die. And when he said that to me about changing my attitude and it will kill me before my cancer does, I just really was so upset. But then after thinking about it, I really wasted, if I had 6 months to live, I was laying in bed living like I was dying. And it was all because I had this mindset and attitude of defeat. And I was really wasting valuable time. And as we know, that we don't know how much time that we have. So if we can change our attitude and to be more positive and just look at things as opportunities and, realize we can't change things we can't change, but we are totally in control of how we respond to them emotionally and physically. Because when we have a negative attitude, it really does a lot internally, and it affects our physical health and can lead to a lot of chronic disease. So we know we can't change people. We know we can't change things, but we know we have control over how we respond to them. And I think that's really an important takeaway today, is that we have control. We can choose. I love, Debbie, how you always talk about happiness as a choice. We can choose how we want to deal with that and that person and that thing, and then decide, do we want that in our life? Is it good for us? Or do we need to kind of separate? And we have control over that. So we can change a negative into a positive. There's always, when one door closes, another door opens. That's so true. And we have to be willing to be bold and go into that new open door. So just because something changes in our lives, or something didn't happen the way that we wanted it to happen, doesn't mean that it wasn't for the good and that we're going to see a very positive thing come out of it. So look at it as an opportunity and a new exciting adventure. I want to read a poem to you that someone gave me, and I don't even remember who gave this to me, but I love this poem. It's called The Attitude Poem by Charles Swindoll. It says, I'm going to read it, so I might be looking away from the camera, but it says, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts, than the past, than education, than money, than circumstance, than failures, than successes, than what other people may think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home, a person. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitude. Don't you love that? I love that poem. And I have it on my wall in my office. I'm a business owner. And so, there's a lot of challenges, especially in the last 2 years. And when I need an attitude shift, I read that poem, and it puts everything into perspective. So I hope that you guys got out of it what I get out of it when I read that poem, because I think it's very, it's so true, right?
Very true. It's very, very true. But I need to add also that during COVID, during the pandemic, it's been difficult for people to have that positive attitude. And so, what can you share for those of us who are trying to do our best to be that light? What are some small 1 or 2 tips that you can share with us to help us be able to kind of go about our day and make the choices, take the control back, be a good influence on others, maybe have that positive attitude?
Yeah, I think that, what you said was, this is a very difficult, challenging time, and it's very hard for some people to, it's been hard for a lot of us, and it has been a lot of pivoting and a lot of challenges. And I think, Debbie, you're better at answering this question because you're the happiness specialist, right? And that's what you do. And so I think that a lot of the tools that you give people in what you do every day is a powerful. I use my why. And I think for me, that is the most important tool that I can offer to people. So what is your why? Your why is, I'll share a little story. That I had terminal cancer. And when the doctor said to change my attitude, I had to figure out a reason. And I was laying in bed, living like I was dying, losing this precious time that I didn't know if I would have or not. And I had to think and dig really deep. Sometimes we have to dig really deep, right? And we have to reflect. And sometimes that's really hard for people to dig deep and reflect and really look inside, but it's a very good thing to do because it helps us see the bigger picture. And sometimes we can't see the bigger picture, and having someone from the outside come in, there is help out there and resources to help us through difficult times like we're going through. There's counselors and things like that. But for me, I did counseling, plus I found my why. So I was laying in bed thinking about dying and how I was going to get out of this mental rut that I was in. So I would I'd stopped eating. I stopped taking care of my activities of daily living. I was just literally laying there in bed dying, wouldn't answer the phone. phone, wouldn't work, anything. So I had to think about why I wanted to change that. And for me, I had a 1-year-old granddaughter at the time, and she became my why. And the reason I said, oh my gosh, Sherry, you're living here and you're not spending time with your 1-year-old granddaughter. If you have 6 months to live, you're missing out. So she became my purpose. So I literally took a picture of her every day and I had it on my nightstand. And when I didn't want to put my feet on the floor, I literally took the picture and said, okay, Mackenzie, I'm going to do this for you. And I put my feet on the floor, and that was an achievement for the day. And then the next day I said, okay, Mackenzie, I'm going to get up and have a piece of toast. So it was baby steps, but she was my focus, and it took the focus off me and my problems and put the focus on something else that was bigger than me. So I think number one, finding your why, and then finding something else to focus on. Maybe volunteer. Maybe I belong to Lasagna Love, and it's an organization where you make lasagnas for people. So you're giving to other people. And sometimes just taking the focus off of you and your problems and showering other people with kindness, I think is a great thing to do to get you out of that rut. So there's a lot of organizations you can volunteer for. There's a lot of things that you can do to make a small little difference in someone else's lives. And it really takes you out of your own head and your own issues. And I think that's one big thing, finding your why and your purpose. And for me, it changed my life. I became among the living again, and it really changed my life. And I have a whole program on the life-changing power of your why. I'm writing a book about how your why can change your life. This is what I believe, Debbie. And you've heard this from me, and anyone who's heard me speak, I always end all my talks with this. I say, everybody has a story, and that happens to be mine that I just shared. Everybody has a why. Your why can change your story and impact your lives and the lives of millions. And so I am using my story and empowering other people to make their health a priority, to make small, simple changes, to shift their mindset, to have a positive attitude, to enjoy every moment, and to make small changes that have significant rewards. So I've kind of bundled my own personal experience and my expertise into this business mission. And I think it will work for all of us. So those are kind of my 2 cents worth, but I'm sure you have so much more to add. And I think even Grace, Marianne, maybe Dan, all of you can contribute what you think that people can do during this difficult time to, change their attitude and achieve their goals so that they can age stronger and longer. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Grace or Marianne, is there anything you want to add, or anything that's worked for you during these times?
One of the things that I've done during COVID, during this pandemic, is that I concentrate on what works. I don't know how to put this. I concentrate what works in my life. There's a lot of negative around that. You read the numbers, we're over 800,000 dead. I just saw another number, 700,000 people were diagnosed in. And so I look at the opposite way. I haven't been diagnosed and I'm alive. I'm an elder aging in place. And so I'm looking around my home and think, okay, what can make my home a better place for me? What can make me happier here? And so there's little things that I'm doing, and because that's all I can do, and try to keep myself safe and try to keep the people around me that I love. I make sure that they're okay, and that I have my little doggy that I can go for a walk. And so those are the little, it's very, very small. I don't have a huge life. I don't have, grandchildren and all this other stuff. It's just me, the people I care about, and my puppy. And so for me, it's like, my life is small, but I'm living within it as healthily and happily as I possibly can.
I love that.
That's great. That's
Bravo.
really great.
Yeah. I think for
Thank
me,
you.
it's been a trying to always look at that, positive piece, like you said, and it's accepting that this is the way it is right now. That doesn't mean it's going to be forever, and whatever that's going to look like. So, when it first started, I was sending out, feel good kind of emails to people and capturing the good stuff that was going on during COVID, the beginning. And I still look at that. There's, it's been a horrible time, health-wise for hospitals and staff and just families in general. but there's also a lot of positive things that have come from this. And so focusing more on that piece, but truly it's accepting, okay, I have to wear a mask every day. Okay, what harm is that? I hear people saying, well, why are we doing this? And why do we need to be vaccinated? People are getting the virus anyway. Or why are we doing, the booster? I'm not getting the booster. Well, okay. Don't always agree. Don't get into an argument. Just say, that's their decision. I don't agree, but, I know that what I'm doing is right for me and my family. And hopefully, that extends to the family outside of this house. So
I love that, Grace.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to, what we talked about is you can't change people and you can't change things, but what you can do is change the way you respond. And that's so powerful. It really puts you in charge and you take back the control. And I think, sometimes we feel like we've lost control during this time. So having that sense of control, I think, is a positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
I will tell you a funny example. I'm in the car with my children sometimes. They're older, they're adults. And one of them laughs and she says to me, I get road rage because you don't. And cut me off, or, sometimes they, I just go, oh, they must be in a hurry, or I hope, they're being safe on the road. And she'll say it and we laugh, but she's, I get road rage because you don't. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's good. And your health will benefit from that because it doesn't do us any good to keep all that anger in, So yeah, definitely. Debbie, what do you have to add to all of that? What are your words of wisdom?
I just, during this pandemic, I can't help but really focus on what's been really important for me and to me, which is I love and value health, and also value happiness and prevention. And so one of the best things that's happened during this pandemic is being able to do this collaboration with the Thomas Crane Public Library and QATV, because it's allowed me to really branch out in a way that I could never have before if I was doing the in-person program, which I will still do once the numbers go down, once it's safe for everybody. But this has been such a beautiful gift. And I try to look at every day as a gift. And, I love my family. I'm very blessed. And friends, great friends. I see so many great friends here with me right now. Group hug. But it's just, and my work. I just, I can't really express how grateful I am to be able to do what I do. So, going back to the basics, like maybe hand washing, wearing a mask, doing what you can control, right? And then just doing your best every day. And there are going to be days where it's like, I don't feel like doing anything, but you know what? I lean into it and just say, okay, this is going to be the way it is, but tomorrow it's going to be different. So yeah, that's my 2, 3, 4, 5 cents.
I think what you said was something about it's okay to feel sad. Like what you said was, today I don't feel like doing it. I feel like giving yourself permission to say, today is an off day. I'm going to do some self-care. And I think we should talk a little bit about self-care because I think that's so important. I don't think, especially as women, that we do as much self-care because we're giving to others. So many, and men do that too. But, I think traditionally, if we look at the roles, women are always taking care of the kids in the house and all that. It's not true for every household, but a lot of households. And so I think for every single person, male or female, we should be taking care of ourselves and give us permission and say, it is okay. I think for me, that has been really hard. And that's one of the things that I've been working on is doing self-care. I'm not good at it. And sometimes I'll call my health and happiness friend, Debbie, and say, I need you to help me do some tapping or something to do some self-care. And so I think knowing resources is really important, surrounding yourself with really good resources. There's good counselors, there's other alternative therapies, there's great books. So there's a lot of help out there. So don't, number one, be afraid to ask for help. Number two, to take care of yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. Give yourself permission to do that, because the benefits are huge. And then, you know what? If you're having off days, so what? Give yourself permission to be sad. Give yourself permission to go through all the emotions that you're going through during this time. It's okay. And I think a lot of us don't do that. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think that's really an important point.
You know what? I feel that when I do take care of myself, my mindset's better.
Absolutely.
My attitude's better. I'm able to reach my goals, no matter how big or small that is that day, that much better. You know, if I gave myself good self-care the night before or during the day, then I'm more accepting of what I did that day. I'm less likely to put the guilt trip on myself or have the inner critic to run. So I can't express enough how self-care is so important to help us reach our goals.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree. I don't know. I think we've talked a lot about a lot of great things. I think you guys have had a lot of good input. Did anyone have any questions? Debbie, did you have any other questions that you want to ask, or Grace or Marianne or Dan, that you might want to ask, or if there's any goals that we can help you formulate, or any resources you might be interested in? Anyone have any?
I love the topic of mindset, because it's just from studying positive psychology, which is the science of happiness. You know, one of the things I learned was a mindset, how there are two different types according to Carol Dweck. There's the fixed and then the growth, and knowing that there is a way to move towards the growth mindset. Even though you think that, you know, oh, your skills or your talents, whatever you're born with that's it. That's the fixed. And then there's the growth where you feel like, oh, okay, I think I could do it. I'm going to keep trying. And I know failure is going to be a part of the equation, but I'm just going to keep at it. So, you know, I love the whole idea of how to keep learning. And you mentioned how it's good to think about our barriers. What, you know, creating that plan B. So you have your original plan. For me, I want to declutter. But knowing that life happens, there's a pandemic going on. I'm a mom. I'm also, you know, a daughter of aging parents. I have, you know, all these different things that I'm doing. I know life is going to intervene. So what is my plan B? Having a SMART goal around that, I think, is very smart, so that I can set myself up for success.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And sometimes you need a plan C. I remember when I was working as a night nurse, I had 30 something patients. I had one aide, and we'd look at each other and say, okay, tonight's not a plan A night. We're moving to plan B. And then by the middle of the night, no, we're moving to plan C. So you know what? Having a backup plan or two is always a great idea. And there was something that you had said that I wanted to reinforce, but I'm having a moment and I can't remember. So it'll come to me after the Zoom is over. But yeah, so everything that you said, I think, you know, really drives home this talk. Mindset is so important. Oh, I know what it was, growing. So, and I hate the word failure. So let's change the wording, because remember, the words that we say that come out of our mouth are very powerful. So we didn't fail. We didn't fail. We had a relapse, and we can try again. And you know what? And we grow from that. So I love that word, growing, because we always want to grow, right? It's like we're watering a seed and we're watching it grow. And I think that whole growing as a person, growing as a professional, growing as a mom or daughter, whatever it is, whatever role that you play, as long as we just keep growing. And I think that's important. So that's kind of the word I kind of wanted to reinforce. And I'm glad I remembered.
Oh, Terry. So now this program is about aging strong.
Yes.
For people who, you know, especially during the winter time here in New England, they want to start getting more active. They want to start getting more fit. But, you know, it's cold and we have a pandemic and it's slippery outside. What are some nice, smart goals for people who maybe live alone, who are aging in place, who are, you know, they want to try something but not hurt themselves because maybe they've been kind of been lax with the activity the last few months?
Oh, I love that question. We could talk another hour about that. But what I'm going to say, because I know we're at a time limit, is okay. Number one is make sure it's safe. You want to make sure that it's safe for you to begin an exercise routine. So check with your doctor, because if you're aging, you may have some health conditions that may not prevent you from doing it, but just you may need to change the way you do it to make it safer. Number two is I'm a huge Ageless Grace fan. I'm an Ageless Grace educator. Ageless Grace is for everybody. It's great for physical and brain health. You do it in a chair. So it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair or you have limitations with you able to walk. You can do Ageless Grace. You can improve your brain health. You can improve your physical health. You can do it 10 minutes a day. You can go online to agelessgrace.com, and then you can watch free videos. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing is, you know what? When you can't go outside, you got inside your house. You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to buy equipment. You have two legs, and if they work, just use them, right? So just go and start walking around your house. Start with 5 minutes. Then every week or every day, whatever is better for you, add another minute and make your SMARCL. I'm going to walk 10 minutes the first week. The next week, I'm going to walk 11 minutes. Then the third week, I'm going to walk 12 minutes. Little baby steps, right? And so if you want, you can see if you're on YouTube, there's tons of exercise videos. Just make sure it fits into your limitations and your physical abilities, and make sure you get approval from your doctor. There's so many things that you can do that you don't have to buy. You know what I mean? There's so many opportunities online. There's so many opportunities to do videos, do something on Zoom with your friends, do some sort of exercise video with your friends on Zoom. There's so many things that you can do. And you know what? If you don't want to do any of those, just get up and walk. I'm doing a new program called Sit Less, Move More to prevent chronic disease. And the two key things is that you want to take a movement break every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes that you're sitting at the end of an hour, you need to get up and move your body. That's one thing. And the second thing is you want to try to get in 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. So exercising is at a moderate pace. So you're still walking around, you still can talk and walk at the same time, and you don't have to do all 30 minutes at once. You can do 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and 10 minutes and get the same health benefits. So you don't have to leave your house. It's safe, and just start walking. Go up and down stairs. If you go slow, you go slow. At least you're getting some movement. You just got to get up and you got to move. So there's a lot of different options out there. So yeah. I love that question, and I could talk so much more about it, but
I do, because I love that question, because basically what you're telling us is you just got to move.
Yes, you got to move.
Yeah, you just have to move, whether it's just standing up after, watching TV for 30 minutes, stand up, maybe make yourself a cup of tea.
Yes.
Just keep moving, because our body is made to move. We're beings. We're kind of in that animal kingdom, right? So we're supposed to be moving all the time. And anytime we're doing any type of house chores is actually expending calories and energies as well. So don't discount the fact that you're able to go up and down the stairs, maybe to clean your bedroom, clean your bathroom. If you put the intention that you want to start doing a little bit more of these activities, knowing that you are burning calories, then you will burn more calories. So yeah, it's you just got to start small and look around what you have and work with that. Work with what you can control, right? We are getting close to the top of the hour, and I want to be able to make sure I do thank the Quincy Public Library for allowing us to be able to continue doing this work and talking about different topics that are relevant to the aging population.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you guys for being so open, Grace, Marianne, and thank you, Dan, for coming on. It was such a pleasure to be your guest again, and I hope this really got you starting off the new year right, and so that you can age stronger and live longer and healthier and happier.